Career specialist Julie Ilkovich recently stopped by with tips on making your workspace a happier place. Take a look.
How many of us are truly happy in our jobs? Well, we are, of course, but unfortunately, a lot of people can't say the same.
That's right, and here to tell us about how to make the office a happier place for everyone is career specialist Julie Hocheiser Ilkovich. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
It's great to have you here, Julie.
Thank
you.
So
we want to know, what percentage would you estimate of people are actually happy in their jobs, and what makes the ones who aren't so happy unhappy?
Well, it depends how you define happiness, and sometimes it's 50-50, depending. Yeah. I mean, really, in terms of 2015, having your best year ever at your career, it really is about taking back control of what you can do. So people really don't feel like they have the power to be happy in their jobs. They feel like they have a boss, they have coworkers, they have all this work, and there really is nothing you can do to be happy, when in truth, you really can take back some of that control, set some restrictions, set some guidelines, and make yourself happy. So if you're watching this and you're feeling not happy at your job and thinking you need something new, I would say, try out some different things and don't necessarily leave tomorrow. You can make changes.
Well, you talk about take back control and set some limitations. What are some of the things that we can do in taking back that control?
Yeah, so it's really all what I say is customization. So that's kind of a buzzword for 2015. Okay. You are customizing everything in your life, from the home screen of your smartphone to your dinner, where you can literally go to a restaurant and choose everything. Yeah. So really, why don't you customize your career as well? So one thing you could do, you can set a defined workday. So that doesn't mean set the hours that you're going to be in the office, because you probably have defined hours. You have to be at the office 9 to 5, 8 to 4, whatever those are. Yeah. But set limits on how much you're actually going to work. So it sounds crazy, but maybe say, my workday is 8 to 8, and before 8 a.m. and after 8 p.m., I'm not going to work, and I'm not going to check my work email, because probably what you're doing now is you're waking up, and as soon as your alarm goes off at 6 or 7, you're looking at your phone.
That's the first thing you do. Yeah.
Yes. So actually, personally, what I've done, and it's been hard, I keep my phone in the kitchen. I've had to get an alarm clock, because that's your alarm.
Smart.
It's really hard.
But I roll over in the middle of the night sometimes, but let me check my email.
Oh no, my phone is on the pillow next to me. Right. That's how bad it is. Yeah.
But you're not alone. You're not alone.
In this age of technology, I mean, how do we really switch off from that? Because our bosses and our co-workers know that they can get in touch with us around the clock, texting, emailing, and a lot of the time expect you to get back to them immediately.
Well, one thing I've been saying is phone calls are the new emails. So that means it used to be when emailing started, there was more of an etiquette to it, and you might have set a certain level of urgency to an email versus a phone call versus a text. So before, it probably was a phone call was the most urgent thing. Yeah. And really, what I would recommend is tell your coworkers, tell your boss, tell your colleagues, I'm always available by the phone. And I will always, if you call me, I will pick up, or I will call you right back.
Is that because they're less likely to call?
Well, they're definitely less likely to call. That's part of it.
Only if it's an emergency.
Only if it's an emergency, but no one thinks twice about shooting an email, even if it isn't urgent, but making it seem urgent, and, at 3 o'clock in the morning, you think of something and you shoot it off and expect to reply.
And I do that myself. I do send out emails myself at like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. Okay. I don't feel bad about it anymore.
Because they don't have to look at it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
It's on your mind.
It's all about the recipient. It's the responsibility of the recipient. So that's part of that control and, customizing your life, is that you don't have to respond. And if you start the precedent, you don't want to get fired from your job, obviously, but if you set the precedent that after reasonable hours you don't respond, people will leave you alone, and you could say, just call me. And they're not going to call, and if they do, you better pick up.
And they're certainly not going to call at 2 a.m.
Right? So that works. And if they do, it's an emergency. Right. Depends what your job is, probably.
Now, I told some people that Julie Jobs was coming on the show, and they said, you have to ask her this question. So one of my friends wants to know, what do you do, how can you be happy in a job if you're not getting paid the amount that you think you should get paid?
That is a great question, and that, I say, is a common problem that more than half of people have. Yeah. There's a lot of different things you can do, but the first thing would really be to try to get paid fairly. And I think that a lot of people make the mistake of kind of marching into their boss's office and just demanding more money. And what you really should do is take the job description that you have and write it up, and then also write up the additional things that you're doing. So what on top of that are you doing? And that alone might be the introductory conversation, because it's like, you're paying me for this and I'm doing this, so, you know, can I get paid more? You know, sometimes you just have to leave your job. That's the hardest thing. It really is. So there is a lot of conversations around how hard it is to make more money within the same organization. But if you love your job, you should do everything you can to try. Have honest conversations with your boss. Tell them what you're doing. You know, make sure that, don't ever, ever, ever say, I will say the one, no, no. I need to get paid more because I really can't afford to live. Because that's not your boss's problem, really.
Well, in New York, a lot of us in New York, and in America, I think in general, we feel that to reach a certain level of success, you've got to work around the clock, right?
Yeah.
Once you get home from work, you're still working, you're still thinking of ideas. So how do you find that balance when you're really trying to seek success and reach a certain level?
You definitely, setting those boundaries is going to be important, but kind of to your point, you are going to see other people who aren't doing that. They aren't setting those boundaries, and you're going to feel competitive with them. You know, it depends on what stage of your life you're in, for sure, but I really would recommend from the beginning of a job, set the boundaries, discuss with your boss what they're comfortable with, what they're not comfortable with, what their expectations are, and then just do your best. I think a lot of people get very caught up with going above and beyond, and then feel like, oh my gosh, I'm always working, when really you could have some balance if you didn't kind of set those expectations in your head. I mean, there's other things you can do in terms of productivity. I think email is the one thing that has us all just drowning. We talked about it earlier. You know, you are waking up in the middle of the night to email. You know, there's kind of two tips I give. One is set times of the day that you're checking your email. Set hours where you check your email, so that not all you're doing all day, and then cut it off. And it might be like 5 hours of your day if your job is mostly emailing, which some of our jobs seem to be entirely emailing.
And what's the last tip?
And the last tip, it's a hard one, but if you can take your work email off of your phone. This is the toughest one. But if you can do that and then only, you know, check your email at the computer, you're really going to just be more productive, and you're just better use of your time.
Great advice, Julie Jobs. We're definitely going to have you come back and join us.
Thank you. I'd love to come back. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And we'll be right back with more great stuff here at Rise Entertainment 360.